Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I think we talked, like I said, in April. So last 5 months have been very interesting, both, I guess nationally, worldwide, and then also with WVU golf. Um, but we're excited about this year. We're going to be young. We're not very deep, but that's okay. That means these young guys are going to get a lot of experience. But I do want to start out by saying that we're certainly thinking of our fifth year senior who came back to play this year, but unfortunately he's not able to, and that's Etienne Papineau, who had season-ending knee surgery. So it's going to be career-ending knee surgery. That was last week. He's doing fine, doing great, in good spirits. But we're definitely, thinking about him, and hopefully our guys are going to play hard for him this year, and he's still going to play an important, role in our team as far as a mentor. I mean, he committed to us in 2014 before we even had a team. So he's meant a lot to me personally. He's meant a lot to this program. So definitely thinking about him, and hopefully he'll be riding around the golf cart with me soon, whenever he can do that. But so yeah, we're ready to get the season started.
Okay, our first question will go to Greg Hunter.
So, Sean, you mentioned the season. Obviously, normally you play, 8, 10 matches in the fall, 6, whatever. Now 2. So look at the differences there. And do you have any idea what the spring's going to look like yet?
As far as college golf schedule goes, we typically schedule about a year, maybe even 2 years in advance, where we're going to go. And all that came sort of crashing down the last, I would say 2 months ago, with the Big Ten, the ACC, Pac-12 not playing. So a lot of our competition went away. So the Big 12 got together. We're decided we're going to press forward with college golf. And we came up with, 2 events in Texas, the Colonial Collegiate, which is at a PGA Tour venue at there in Fort Worth, and then also the Big 12 match play, which we traditionally play. And then we're going to host our home tournament. So technically we have 3 tournaments in the fall. Normally, yeah, you're right, 5 or 6 is what we have in the fall. And we've usually gotten off to a pretty good start because the golf courses are in great shape. The weather is awesome here. Our guys are coming off great, summer amateur events. And so we're usually at peak performance in the fall. And you've seen that pay off for us, being in the top 25 last year early in the fall. So this year's going to be a little bit different, small sample size, only 3 events as opposed to, say, 6. But we're excited that we're excited and we're grateful that our conference is moving forward. The Big 12 has been perceived as the best conference in college golf with, perennial powers, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Oklahoma, who have all won national championships the last decade. So, to be opening up at a PGA Tour venue, the Colonial Country Club, against the best conference in college golf, our guys are so excited, and we would have been excited playing in anything considering the last few months, what we've gone through, but to be able to do it in this manner, the guys are certainly excited.
Okay, we'll go to Sam.
Coach, so you mentioned obviously Pap, going out for the season, but you still have a lot of other golfers, and obviously they kind of have used this as a rallying cry, the hashtag Play for Pap they started using on Twitter. What has this kind of rejuvenated your team a little bit heading into the short fall season?
Yeah, I think before Pap, the situation with him, his surgery, like we had a lot to prove. I think we left a lot on the table last year with the season being canceled, and our guys, especially Mark. I think about Mark Getz, Logan Perkins, 2 of our upperclassmen. They feel like they've got a lot to prove this year. That we weren't just a one-man show last year. We've got a deep team, and they've all improved. And then, like you said, we were excited about Pap coming back. It's unfortunate he's going to be out. But yeah, I think the guys are really, want to play hard for him and live up to the expectation that he set for our program. And yeah, I mean, he's just a great friend and a great teammate, and obviously a great golfer. So they're going to do what they can to kind of honor him. And we've got the Fleur de Lis, the Quebec kind of stickers on the bag. So hopefully they'll remember it every time they carry their bag this year. They'll remember Pap, and just like he came back to play for them, unfortunately can't. So that definitely is going to add a little bit of spark for our guys.
Okay, we'll go to Kevin Kinder.
Coach, did the preparations for this fall change the way in which you've selected or conducted your competitions to see who's playing in your early season events? Did you have to modify that any? And can you walk us through a little bit of what you did in the preseason, your competitions, to determine your lineup for your first tournament?
Right. Yeah. Be honest with you, we had way more time than we normally did to get in qualifying, because traditionally we travel somewhere right after Labor Day weekend, whether it's Minnesota or Wake Forest, or, we've gone to VCU before early. So I always felt like we tried to cram in qualifying really quick to see who our best 5 are before we hit the road. But this year, because of sort of the delay and everything, our first tournament went till the end of September. So we had about a month to do qualifying, which was really good because we have 3 freshmen on campus, which is a rather large freshman class. So they were able to get acclimated. We actually were able to, take our time in qualifying and give them ample time to practice. And I feel like it's paid off with their development. But yeah, the way we do qualifying is we have 3 separate 54-hole tournaments, if you will, within our team. And the winner of each tournament, qualifier A, qualifier B, and qualifier C, the winner of each one earns the right to go to the trip. And then I'll pick the other 2, based on their performances. And so that's kind of how we did it. Mark Getz actually won 2 of the 3. And then Jackson Davenport, who's a true freshman, won the first one, played very well. And then obviously we picked Logan, Curtis, Ollie, who's a freshman, and Will, who's a freshman. So we can actually take 6. Normally we take 5, but the Big 12 is allowing us to take 6 guys to the stroke play at Colonial and the match play at Houston Oaks. So like I said, with all 3 freshmen, true freshmen, are going to be in the starting lineup. So it's going to be a learning experience for them.
Okay, we'll go to Michael.
Coach, what were your thoughts on DeChambeau's big win this past weekend? And as a coach, what are your philosophies towards encouraging guys to beef up and try to hit the ball a mile?
Well, I think there's been a lot of data the last 5+ years, about, look, the closer you are to the hole, whether you're in the rough or the fairway, it doesn't really matter. Now, yes, hazards you need to avoid. But if you think about Winged Foot, it's really just grass out there. There's not a lot of water in play. It's not like you're playing the Ocean Course or Harbor Town or something, or TPC Sawgrass. So I think that course honestly set up well for, a bomber. Because look, even if you're very short but accurate, like, you're still going to be missing fairways because those fairways are so narrow at Winged Foot with the U.S. Open setup. So it just played right into his hands, or somebody that bombs it. And so, certain courses are just going to set up well for people. That's just the way it is. Golf is not a standardized playing field, like a football field or a basketball court. Every course has its own personality. It's going to suit players better. So that's just the way it is, out there. Would he have done as well, somewhere else with a lot of water in play? Maybe not. But, it's impressive anytime somebody, wins the major championship. So, whether personally I'm a fan of his or not, doesn't really matter. I mean, you gotta respect a guy that can golf his ball and beat the best players in the world. So he definitely did that.
We'll go to Greg Hunter.
Coach, you mentioned you're going to be young. In your experience, do you think youth is more problematic for golf, or can younger players compete at a high level, maybe better than other sports?
I think that they can definitely come in and make an impact, but what's really key is that we have we have some upperclassmen that are really coaching those guys. I mean, I show up at the range and Mark Getz is helping our freshmen. They're asking him questions. This is Mark's 4th year. He just won the Western Pennsylvania Open at Oakmont Country Club, a U.S. Open venue. He's playing some of the best golf of his life, but it helps out that we have upperclassmen, Curtis Grant and Logan Perkins and Mark Getz, that these guys can ask questions about how to do things, and they're open to it. These freshmen are very coachable. They're wanting to learn, and so I think that's going to help out. Had we not had upperclassmen, just say we had some upperclassmen that never really played in the lineup, I think we might be in some trouble. But I think we're good. They want to learn. And what's interesting about Colonial and Big 12 match plays, we're actually going to be paired together for Colonial, and then obviously when we do match play, there'll be 2 guys together from WVU, and so we're going to have a freshman with an upperclassman each time, just so they can sort of feed off of their experience and ask questions rather than just throw them in the deep end, by themselves. So I think that's very important, having those experienced guys.
Okay, we'll go back to Sam.
Coach, since we were on the topic a couple of questions ago, Matthew Wolf, so we're going to bring up DeChambeau. Matthew Wolf was right behind him, number 2. You guys competed against him back when he was in college. Do you root for a guy like that, or is there maybe a little bit of PTSD from when they were
No, we definitely root for those guys. I mean, Matt Wolf, Victor Hovland, who was also a teammate of Matt Wolf, those 2 were kind of 1 and 2 in the world as far as amateur golf rankings when they were with Oklahoma State. If you remember, we actually hosted Big 12 championship at the Greenbrier there last year together as a team on the Oklahoma State team. And I guess I tell this story. Hopefully, compliance doesn't get me in trouble. But we were staying at the Greenbrier. All the teams were, and we were staying in this cottage, and downstairs, I'm downstairs with my family getting ready for bed, and I see somebody come down the stairs, and I look, and it's not anybody on our team. And I was like, "Can I help you?" He was like, "Oh yeah," and it was a guy from Oklahoma State. He said, "I'm just looking for Perk." He said, "We're going to come over here and play some cards." I was like, "Oh, really?" We had a poker room in there. And as soon as I look up, I see Matt Wolf coming down the stairs. I see Victor Hovland coming down the stairs. And like, "Oh, hey, Coach, yeah, we're just here to play some cards." And, Victor Hovland was at Butler Cabin, Augusta National, as a low amateur in the Masters the week before. Now he's in our cabin at the Greenbrier. And so long story short, those guys, Wolf and Hovland, those guys that are on tour are great kids, and they were awesome during their time in college. And, we got to play them our first year in match play at Big 12. This was 2 years ago. Our first match, Logan Perkins, as a freshman, was playing Matt Wolf, and as a sophomore, he was playing Matt Wolf. Curtis Grant, who was a freshman, was playing Victor Hovland. And so they got to match up against the number 1 and 2 ranked amateurs in the world at the time. And they took them all the way to like 16 and 17. I mean, even though we lost that match, that proved to our guys, we're not that far off. We're not that far off. We can hang. And that was a turning point for us, I think, as a program. It was like, wow, we just went toe-to-toe with the best team in college golf and the best amateurs in college golf. But no, I definitely cheer for those guys. I mean, I got pictures of Keenan with Wolf and Victor, and, they're just awesome kids. So we definitely cheer for them.
Okay, Michael, you're up.
Who are some guys that you're really looking forward to seeing at Colonial, and kind of as a follow-up to that, what are the keys to navigating yourself around that golf course?
Yeah, that golf course is it's totally different from what we experienced here in West Virginia because of the grass types, tree-lined fairways, big oak trees, and Bermuda grass. So we're going to have to get used to mainly chipping off the Bermuda grass. Is going to be totally different from the bent grass that we're used to up here in West Virginia. But at the same time, if you look at our lineup, Jackson Davenport is from Texas, so he grew up chipping on that kind of grass. Will Stakel and Logan Perkins are from Georgia, so they grew up shipping on that kind of stuff. So I think we'll be okay. Curtis Grant recently moved to Pinehurst last year, so he's used to Bermuda. So we should be okay. But, every team we're facing is from kind of that corridor of playing in and on, playing on Bermuda grass. So we have to get used to that. Colonial, our guys have, seen it on PJ Tour events. It's you kind of have to plot your way around there. I mean, it's going to take driver out of your hand because of the dog legs. Every hole's got, different dog legs, so it's not just straight away. So we're going to have to hit, less than driver a few times out there. So we'll just see how it goes. But I'm very interested to see how the freshmen do, to be honest with you. I mean, I just, we'll see what they can do. Jackson obviously played great to win the first qualifier. So we definitely have some talent. Ollie and Will have continued to improve. So we're just excited to see what happens. I mean, I'm not really putting a lot of emphasis on, results. It's more about our process. And when you have such a young team, you got to take away the results and just like, look, how can we put ourselves in position to play the best golf we can? Whether we finish first or 10th, hey, so be it. That's golf. But make sure we're doing the little things right. So that means in the practice round, taking good notes, make sure we get a feel for the speed of the greens, have a good game plan, and, just don't be nervous. Just trust your preparation.
Kevin, you're up.
Coach, obviously there's a great deal of discussion and work put into developing COVID-19 protocols for football, getting it off the ground. So for golf, did the Big 12 or the NCAA use that as sort of a roadmap? And for these upcoming tournaments, what's your process? What's your last test that you take, and how does that work in determining who can play and who can't?
Right. Yeah, we've been getting tested once a week, and then this week we'll actually be tested twice. Friday, because we leave on Saturday, so we'll be tested on Friday afternoon. That'll kind of be the rapid test. But luckily our sport, I mean, we can have a full team practice and not even come within 10 yards of each other, which has been good. So our guys have been very smart about that. Once we started the testing and everybody got on campus, started the testing, we made sure to make our circle just the golf team, as best as we can. Our guys have been doing that. And like I said, we're just lucky. It's an outdoor sport. You don't even have to be near somebody to have practice. There's no contact. You don't share equipment. So we're kind of lucky there. So our sport, we always felt like it was safe as long as they allowed us to play. We could do it in a safe manner. And so far, so good on that. But yeah, there's been some changes. So the Big 12, especially the event at Colonial, normally we'd be paired in the same group with Oklahoma State or Texas and West Virginia. Our number ones would play together, our number twos would play together. This year, we're all kind of playing in our own bubble. So my 6-5-4 will go out first, and then 3-2-1 will go out, and then Texas Tech will follow us, and then so on and so forth. So that's different, but I think that's great for us being so young. I will get to see, or my assistant will get to see, all three guys playing in a group together, and you can actually coach them at once rather than just having to pick one guy, to walk with. So that's how we're using sort of this weird situation to our advantage.
Okay, back to Greg Hunter.
Coach, any idea what your spring schedule is going to look like? Have you put that together yet, or is it still to be determined? And I assume the NCAA is going to try to play a championship then. So, what's all the spring be like?
Yeah, they definitely are pushing forward with the spring, national championship and regionals and all that kind of stuff. Our spring has been set, but we still have some events where they're either being hosted by ACC teams or Big Ten teams. And right now, they're not even playing college golf in the fall. Now, they plan to play in the spring. Florida State, for example, we've been to that tournament since we started college golf back here, 2015. We plan to go to Seminole. Same thing with Penn State. We've always played in their tournament. We're planning to go to there. So as long as they return to, competition, then we've got our spring schedule set. But I've learned not to plan too far in advance because things change. But, our goal is to go back to as many of the same tournaments as possible. So you'll probably see the Florida Gator Invitational, the Florida State Seminole Intercollegiate, the Hootie at Bulls Bay hosted by South Carolina, Penn State Invitational. And I think our goal is to play in Vanderbilt's tournament in Nashville as well, which is a great field. So, that's kind of what it looks like, but, we don't know until officially the ACC and Big Ten kind of returns to play in the spring.
Sam, you're up.
So Colonial and Houston Oaks, they're both about 7,000 yards. I'm not a weatherman, but I'm going to guess it's going to be warm, dry, pretty firm and fast. Then in October, you come back to Pete Dye, where it's going to be not warm, probably not dry, maybe a little breezy, and it's about 300 yards longer. Do you guys, at least on paper, it looks like you guys have a little bit of a home field advantage at Pete Dye. Do you feel that way?
Well, yeah, I do, because we play it a lot. And if you've ever been to Pete Dye, I mean, the first 2 times you play it, like, it's so visually intimidating. There's certain holes like number 2, that tee shot, number 4, the 240-yard par 3 over water, 5, there's a lot of that's what Pete Dye does. He just distracts you and lures you towards the hazard, where I think the more times you play it, you realize he gives you room to bail out. And so we kind of know that. So, yeah, I mean, we've played it basically every other day since we got back to school. So we've got tons of rounds there. And teams that show up the first time, first of all, they love Pete Dye. It's a great golf course, in great shape this year. It's a top 100 course in the world, so it's great. But it's visually intimidating. So I think that always gives us an advantage. But, when you have teams that come back year after year after year, they kind of figure it out. But, we definitely think we have an advantage. I've been checking the long-range forecast. We're actually looking at mid-60s, which is, hey, we'll take that. I love that. 60 and sunny is great. I mean, that's my favorite kind of weather to play golf. So September, October, even early November, the last few years have been awesome. So hopefully that forecast holds up.
Hey, Greg, I think you have the final question of the day.
Yeah, well, and the last one for me, and Sean, something I've asked you in the past, but any update on, your course, the practice course? Obviously, financially, things are much more strained now. So anything new in terms of trying to get that thing built?
Well, I would say about that, I mean, Shane and our athletic department at the university, they are doing everything they can with the restraints, that we have. And I think what we have going will, kind of solve both issues, do it in a fiscally responsible way, but still build a world-class facility for our guys to train on. Has it been delayed? For sure. I mean, that's a given, considering the worldwide, pandemic that we have going on. So, but no, we're still excited about that. I think it's going to be a little bit delayed, but what you will see, the final product is going to achieve both those goals of being, fiscally responsible with the restraints we have in the future, but also giving our guys a world-class facility to practice on. So hopefully we'll have more, information on that, I would say, after our home tournament, because right now our focus is competing at a high level, and then we'll look at that in the off season and, see where that timeline is. But I'm excited about that.